Hey, Tommy from the Run Testers. In this video, I'm going to be doing versus of two Adidas shoes, the Adidas Adizero SL2 and the Adidas EVO SL. Let's see how these two shoes compare. The Adidas Adizero EVO SL costs £130 or $150. It weighs 224 grams or 7.9 ounces for men in the size 8.5, and the drop is 6mm. The Adidas Adizero SL2 costs £110 or $130. It weighs 240 grams or 8.5 ounces for men in a size 8, and the drop is 9mm. The Adidas EVO SL takes learnings from the brand's top-tier performance shoes to provide a ride that covers everything from easy runs to race day. That's largely thanks to a thick layer of Lightstrike Pro midsole foam that's designed to be soft, comfortable, and ensure a high level of energy return. The upper is made from a lightweight and breathable engineered mesh to deliver comfort and ventilation, while the outsole features a combination of continental rubber on the forefoot and clear rubber towards the heel of the shoe, aiming to provide grip and protection without increasing the weight. The shoe also has plenty of padding around the ankle collar, as well as a slightly rockered geometry for smooth heel-to-toe transition. The Adidas Adizero SL2 is a daily running shoe designed for versatility and affordability. It aims to balance comfort and cushioning with a good level of energy return thanks to a combination of Lightstrike and Lightstrike Pro foams in the midsole. Although it doesn't have the continental rubber outsole seen in many of the brand's shoes, there's still a healthy layer of outsole rubber to provide grip and durability. The upper is made from an engineered mesh that provides targeted support around key areas of the foot, as well as plenty of breathability when picking up the pace. And there's a modest level of padding to provide additional comfort. Okay, so the fit in these two shoes, I'm a size 8 in the UK. I've got the SL2s in a size 8 and they feel really, really good. There's plenty of space in the forefoot. And with Adidas shoes, you normally size up half a size. I didn't need to in this shoe. There was plenty of space for me before the big toe, and the front section of the shoe is actually not as shallow as I found in a lot of Adidas shoes. So my size 8 in the SL2 was absolutely fine. But what I would say is it's a much more restrictive shoe than the EVO SL. So it's not as roomy across the forefoot and the midfoot. So if you've got wide feet, you might struggle with getting your size in this shoe because it is a bit of a lean shoe. I have fairly average width feet and I noticed that it's quite a lean shoe. The EVO SL is roomier than the SL2. From a sort of width perspective, the end of the shoe, so I've got these in a size 8.5 because I tried on a few different sizes when I was in the shop to pick these up. I tried the size 8s on. It felt okay, but what I found is when I pushed my toes down forward, my foot did move forward a bit and started pushing against the end, so I went half a size up in the EVO SLs, which is what most people generally do in Adidas shoes anyway, so stick to that ruling with the EVO SL. But it is a wider shoe than the SL2 and there's a lot more space in it, so it's probably a bit better if you've got wider feet than the SL2. Okay, so I should start by saying both of these shoes are shoes that I really, really like. I've enjoyed testing both of these shoes and I think they're really good value shoes to get, so I'm very positive about both of these shoes. So it's quite a hard comparison to do because they are quite similar in a lot of ways, but there are some noticeable changes that may define which one you want to buy. Let's start with the SL2. So the SL2 is a really, really solid, all-round, conventional feeling shoe that can tick off a lot of boxes. Basically, it's relatively lightweight, it feels very nippy, it has a midsole that includes Lightstrike Pro, which is the performance foam that you find in a lot of the higher end shoes that Adidas has. It has a layer of that goes through the middle of the shoe, then it's sandwiched between these two more this sturdier layer of foam. And what that means is that you're getting a quite conventional ride, but has a little bit of softness from that Lightstrike Pro. It's not an overly noticeable bounce. It's not like it doesn't feel like a race shoe that you're spending a lot of money on. It feels like a conventional shoe that just has some really nice elements of it that mean that it's quite versatile. You can pick up the pace nicely in this shoe. It feels nippy. It's got good level of responsiveness from that midsole. And it's also got a good level of stability as well, because it's a slightly firmer. So you're getting a bit of that softness from that layer in the middle, but you're also getting a nice bit of stability from the rest of the shoe. So it's a really accessible, lightweight, cost-effective shoe that I think most people could use it. Works very well for easy runs. I've used this for intervals as well, and it feels great for those. But in a very conventional way, it feels like a shoe that's light on the feet, nimble, and you can pick up the pace in it. It doesn't feel like it's going overboard with any performance elements, like the EVO SL does. So the EVO SL has the whole midsole is Lightstrike Pro, and that foam is very bouncy. It's softer. You get a lot more energy return as a result of that, and it's got a much more aggressive rocker than the SL2 as well. So this shoe is much more driven towards the performance level as opposed to being a really versatile shoe overall. It is still a really versatile shoe, but I think it's much more attuned to the performance level stuff that you're doing. That midsole, because it's a lot softer and a lot bouncier, it is slightly less stable than the SL2 as well, which some people might not like. I really like that, but if you want something that's a bit more stable, you're not too keen on that sort of soft feeling in the shoe, you might not enjoy the EVO SL as much. I love it. I love soft shoes. I love bouncy shoes. I love energy return. It works really, really well for me. The shoe actually feels like a shoe that's punching a bit above its weight. So if you look at shoes like the more performance trainer based shoes like the Super Blast 2, it delivers an experience very similar to those. It's very good at tempo training, very good at maintaining a nice consistent pace thanks to that bounce and that rocker and that cushioning that protects your legs. So it's very much a shoe that really works well towards those higher level training sessions where you want to keep a consistent pace, but you want a lot of other elements involved in the shoe as well. But equally for me, I think it works very well for easy runs. I've done a couple of nice easy runs in this shoe. It feels very soft and comfortable, but does roll you forward nice and gives you a nice bit of bounce. It's a very impressive shoe, especially considering the price. So really, even though these two shoes there's a lot of similarities, they're a bit cheaper than a lot of the shoes out there. They're both designed for versatility. They're both designed for lots of different types of training. I think it really comes down to that foam, that performance foam that's in there, and the bounce and the ride you get from the EVO SL. I think for some people, the SL2 may be the better option because not everyone likes that sort of bounce and that ride that you're getting. And I also think the SL2 is a little bit poppier as well because it's a little bit firmer, a bit more balanced in that midsole. You're not getting any major softness when you're running it, so it is a little bit nippy. It's probably, for me, might be a bit better at shorter distance intervals and things like that if you're looking for something that's a little bit more conventional, but essentially it really comes down to that midsole foam. The outsole on these is quite different. The outsole on the SL2 it has this sort of brand rubber on it. It doesn't have a name on it, but has lots of grooves on it. It's very good rubber, very sturdy. It's quite a thick layer of it on as well. I've not had any issues running out on the on wet paths and public paths and things like that in this shoe. Very sturdy, solid outsole. The outsole on the EVO SL, you have a much thinner layer of Continental rubber on the front, and then you have this sort of different layer of rubber on the back. Much more like something like the Pro Evo, where it's designed to really minimize the amount of weight on the external part of the shoe. But even though it feels a lot smoother than the groove version on the SL2, it does feel pretty grippy. I've been out in some pretty wet conditions in this shoe, and it feels absolutely fine. I've not had any problems with slippage or anything like that. So I think, even though they're very different outsoles, I think they're both very, very good, and you won't have any issues with either of these. Okay, so my verdict on these two shoes, and they're both great shoes, and for the price, they're really worth getting, especially if you can get the SL2 for under £70. It's a fantastic shoe to have in your collection, and you can just use it for anything really, and it does the job. The EVO SL is still a really, really well-priced shoe for what it does. When you compare it with some of the other shoes that I would compare it with, things like the Super Blast 2, I would put this in the same bracket as that shoe, just because it does everything that shoe is trying to do as well. It's just really good for lots of different types of running, but you just get that Lightstrike Pro midsole foam is really high-end foam, and you can really tell that when you're out running in it. So I think they're both great shoes. They're both really good value shoes. I think it really comes down to the type of ride you want. I think the EVO SL is definitely the superior shoe. I'm going for the EVO SL because I like bounce, I like softness, I like shoes that really give me a little bit of a nice smooth transition and rock me forward. It does everything I want it to do. It's a really impressive shoe, and there's no downsides for me in this shoe. I don't particularly find it that unstable. But I think some people, especially maybe if you're a heavier runner, you might notice a bit more instability in that midsole foam because it is quite soft. The SL2, I think what it's got going for it is solid all-round daily trainer that can do a lot of stuff. It's fast, it's nippy, it feels lightweight. But the thing this has got over the SL, the EVO SL, is that it's just a little bit more stable, a little bit less aggressive, and it's probably better for heavier runners as well because you just get a bit more of a sturdier midsole foam in there. So it's a difficult one to choose between because they're sort of doing the same thing and it's focused on the same target market, but the reason you buy these is a little bit different. So for me, I'm going for the EVO SL all the way because I think it's a fantastic shoe and probably going to be one of my favourite shoes this year based on the testing that I've done so far. But you can't go wrong with the SL2, especially if you can get it as cheap as I got it. Okay, that's it from me on this versus of the Adidas EVO SL and the Adidas Adizero SL2. Thanks a lot for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and click that little bell. And if you go into the caption below, you can find a link to our podcast, which comes out a couple of times each month. Thanks a lot for watching. Catch you next time.